Okay, let's look at our second part of lesson 73. We're busy with airtime, and it is from just so you know that we are looking at this chapter or this particular lesson from Beyond Powerful Radio. Just to kind of just quickly get reference of it because we are going to be looking at some examples direct from the book, chapter 31, page 389 to 424. And again, as I said, I'm going to be looking at some direct examples, reading it out, so just so that you can follow through the examples with me. Okay. All right. So we just ended off that last lesson basically on how you can, here's a possible script for you to be able to, perhaps maybe start a conversation with a potential client. We are talking about airtime in radio, on radio, within radio, the radio station, and how to obviously get a sales perspective, right, to how to on how to create more revenue or consistent revenue for the station itself, right? Okay, so getting into the mind of the client was what we did speak about, and it's that's how you know you're going to make a great direct connection if you are invested in their product, if you understand how they understand their target market and how they sell and what's important about their brand, and so on and so on and so on. But also understanding their, so I'm going to say their spectrum. So the way the space in which their product and their brand actually lives. Understanding your client's challenges is part of that, right? The top 20%, once again, just to refer to those, that percentage that is selling the most, right? And again, having a direct understanding of selling to the P1 listener. The P1 listener is again the listener that only listens to that particular station, your particular station, and so again has a big relationship with your brand. I'm saying as a station, so it goes almost is assumed that whatever you do sell is directly connected to their current life and what it is that is in within their line of sight of what they do need or what they do buy or what they do spend their money on. Um, Right, so the top 20% learn to master the art of moving prospects. So this is the top 20% sales people from level one to level three. We spoke about those particular levels, right? Or sort of phases, should I say? And then now moving to levels. So once again, phase one, just knowing how to make sure that you organize your schedule, right? And then making those discovery calls and then presenting your solutions and asking for money, just again with that not drawn out, but it's obviously there's different aspects or different phases within that particular last phase as well, to get to that last phase. Level one, what is the biggest challenge facing your business today? So that again, what is that particular client's challenge? What effect has this problem had on your business, and what effect has this business problem had on you personally? Right. So top sellers create solutions. Right. It is important to get feedback of execution from your client. Right. That's not important. It's mandatory, and your client will definitely give you feedback on execution in terms of the way that the entire so the entire, let's say, strategy, perhaps maybe the marketing strategy or the promotion, or even just the rollout of adverts that they have bought, like space, advertising space. They will listen to, and they will listen to that it's being played at the correct time, at the time that obviously they have agreed to and paid for, whether it was played out at a correct level, whether it was what they listened to in terms of the end product is what they're hearing on air, whether it's not being cut off. Small things, I say it's small, but very massive impact, on what the client, in terms of their satisfaction, their happiness, with us as a radio station and what we have obviously from the sales department, the sales side, right? So if we're going to look at so I'm going to just grab the book here. I see there's a little bit of, if you just go to page 399, it's right at almost to the back of your textbook. you'll see that we are in this, obviously in chapter 31, right? And David Barenfeld offers the following pointers to sell particular talk radio and live copy commercials. Just so what I just want a little bit of clarity on is point 6, 7, and 8, where there's part 1, 2s, and 3s. We will read out of the textbook, and so you can just follow along. Just give you a moment just to get to that particular page, right, while I cover the first couple of pointers here. The first one is to create a promotional alliance. So you know that at the end of the day, we have got to coincide with whatever brand it is that we are trying to sell. So the almost like the sound of the station, the brand of the station itself, it will in some other way elevate this particular client, this particular customer's brand or product or service that is advertising with us. They're busy promoting on our station, right? So we want to be able to make sure, again, not only that it's the correct target market within our obviously spectrum, but also their correct target market, the target market that they know is their customer base is in line with our, like I say, our target market. So two is to create media partnerships. If you look at your book, there's just to kind of read out there, it is advantageous for radio to join forces not only with other TV and radio properties within your group. So again, if we think of places like or companies like Kakiso and 947, we not 947 Prime Media, excuse me, right? So you would find that the sales teams are it's a hybrid. So what they'll do is they'll sell for all the stations all at once, right? Not just sell only for one or other of the stations within the group itself. So it's obviously a lot more attractive to a client to say, well, look, not only are you going to be hearing your advert on one station, like let's look at the Prime Media Group, it's a KFM, but you'll also hear it on 947, or we might look at the talk aspects and look at 702 and Cape Talk, etc. Right? So we can share within obviously our group, and that is very enticing to a particular customer, a lot more value for their money. And so they'll obviously tend to be more likely to, when I sign a contract, spend the money and get a good, I say a good output or good outcome from that. All right, think about those brand names. So again, just from your textbook, brand selling is different than a co-op, a non-traditional revenue deal. So by prospecting for business generically, millions in potential revenue are never realized, and prospecting should be focused. When asked, what's your favorite soft drink? People don't say, I'm a cola drinker. They'll actually say Coke. So we want to be very particular, which I know almost goes without saying, but we want to be able to make sure that the brand name is elevated and it is something that resonates well within our approach to how we're going to sell this particular product to our listeners, right? Take a good look, obviously, at the listener once again, just in terms of their composite, their lifestyle, and what it is that they might need. Like, let's say right now in October, or November or December, we have different needs at different times of the year that become again quite seasonal. But also we've got to look at, let's say, contextually, perhaps maybe what's happening in the country, maybe in this region, and service that particular need. And also tie that in with the advertiser's needs. So we want to understand what the advertiser does want out of this. Maybe it isn't just selling actual items or products, but perhaps again, maybe creating a bigger brand or stronger brand loyalty with their own customers, or maybe they're reaching out to a new area. So they're opening up shops in maybe different provinces, or again, they're trying something new. So the needs that the advertiser will give you as a directive is the right word, right? So if we look at 6, 7, and 8, part 6 says, so just from your textbook again on page 400 here, It says they let your on-air talent sell for you. Part one. This is the sales perspective that Mike Siegel talks about. Everybody loves to meet the station's prime talent, which is that's offensive to people that are not prime talent, but okay. It is the truth. Those with the big shows and the big names are the ones that the clients will know about, tend to want the potential customers will know about, would want to like liaise with, and also want to hang out with, and obviously affiliate with, right? Bring along camera, and chances are good that a picture of them, ideally wearing your station's logo, and the client will occupy a prominent wall position. Do this in 50 companies with more than 50 employees. Soon you'll have thousands of impressions per week in the workplace. So make the goal to be in 540 offices, just one aspect or one approach that can be happening in, let's say, the next 3 years. Number seven, so part two, it says there, if you allow and encourage talent to earn income from revenue streams separate from sales, so promotional fees, endorsements, etc., 10 to 1, you're going to have an on-air team that is obviously more motivated to be an influencer or brand ambassador, etc., etc. We look at point number 8, so part 3 on page 401. It says that perhaps you remember or have heard about the late talk personality Alan Berg. The movie Talk Radio was loosely based on his life, and we spent at least 2 or 3 hours per week making sales calls together. And this is Valerie now speaking from her own experience, right? One day we had 2 calls to make. The first was with the owner of a Chinese restaurant. We walked in and made some talk, or small talk, should I say. And in just minutes, Alan jumped in and said, I can only endorse one Chinese restaurant. And if you'd like me to endorse yours, you'll need to buy a 26-week schedule in less than 30 seconds. They made that particular order. 20 minutes later, we're meeting with the owner of a Rattan furniture store. And as I begin my presentation, Alan says, I can only endorse one furniture store. And if you'd like me to endorse yours, we'll need to buy a 26-week schedule. So selling Alan, or rather letting Alan sell, was truly extraordinary. Looking around, you best or your best salesperson may be a member of your on-air staff. Yeah. Nice little anecdote there that kind of says it all. I think we can all imagine or picture, particularly certain obviously talents of our own here in South Africa that are really synonymous with consistent brand ambassador, like activations, etc., for a number of different products, companies, etc. Okay. Anyway, 9, hire sales staff that lives the lifestyle of your format, so that they know the product really well, they live it, they breathe it, and so they can obviously like deliver that and kind of to whoever it is that they do meet as a potential client, right? Communicate that. Number 10 is create as many premium avails as possible. So obviously deals, right, as possible. And then obviously it goes without saying, but it's also go take it with a pinch of salt, is have fun at the end of the day. So I just don't put textbook to one side. We'll go back to it in just a moment. All right, so making the sale, networking versus cold calling. As we had a bit of a discussion before, the value, obviously, or the invaluable, invaluability of networking, because it is just so priceless, the way that a salesperson does navigate through their career, predominantly through networking, right? Versus cold calling. To excel at sales, you need to be a good communicator. All right. Most people that gravitate towards sales are genuinely incredibly social people. Like I said there before, previous comment, a lot of charisma, and I get that kind of like magnetic is one thing, but they just know how to work a crowd, right? So really good communicators, great kind of that almost slick, oily conversation ability that they do have. Great, like I say, great at that. Developing relationships is an important part of prospecting. and obviously growing sales contracts. So perhaps maybe they're not going to buy today, but they liked who you are. I'm saying as a salesperson, they liked what they heard. They heard what they liked, and so they definitely have you as like at the top of their minds, right? When they want to sell, when they want to spend money, should I say next. Business leads are all around you, at your gym, like within family, helpers, everyone in your own personal, like private circle to your extended circle, could possibly be a business lead or a possible sale. Yeah, sale. There we go. So if there's a prior relationship or a connection in place, things become obviously easier because of that trust connection that we said there before. If it's a referral, etc., someone introduces you to somebody, they already have that trust connection and that segue. And then proper networking techniques are secrets to superstars in sales. So meeting the right people, very important. So speaking to the wrong person at the right company doesn't make any sense. Attend charity events, business social functions, uh, where obviously those decision makers are there. Not exactly the CEO, but as I said, the person that is in charge of, again, those money matters, we always, well, we're going to use that umbrella kind of department of the accounts department. Who is the decision maker there? Once you've connected with the decision makers, focus on and ask them about themselves to establish some kind of rapport, so relationship again with them. They know you want their money, but also they want to know that you don't just want their money, you want to know more about them. Again, it's just business. It's just plain old business, customer service at the end of the day. Excuse me. But how can I help? So how you say, so be genuinely helpful. So if they have any questions, if they want to follow up with something, if they want you to come back with something at a specific time or whatever it may be, then help them. If they want to talk to the station manager, get them in contact with the station manager. If they want a particular personality, go and approach the personality and set up that particular meeting or that meet and greet, right? The secret weapon in sales is to be genuinely interested in obviously this particular person that you want to build a rapport with. Okay, so if we look at Pam Alonto's sales tips on page 404, let's go back to the book there, right? Um, there are quite a few. So let's just have a look. Pam Lonto's sales tip number one: clients question and listen to the prospects and uncover and meet their true needs. So I want to make sure that I'm not repeating something that's already here. Right. Okay. So qualify the buyer, always get to the top decision maker and don't waste time with people who are not in the position to make a decision. Straight up. Right. Let's go to the third one. Listen with the intent to understand. Only when you understand can you respond. Listening is more important than talking. So just make sure that you are in touch with what it is that they are saying. If you do ask a question, that would assume that you're interested in the answer that this person is going to give you, right? If you are distracted or if you are looking at other things or whatever it is, or you're answering in a very kind of surface level, kind of pretentious or whatever it is, or irrelevant way, the person's going to be like, I'm not going to give you even a cent, never mind 20,000, 40,000, 100,000 Rand. Number four, understand the power of questioning, right? Because you can learn more about what they might not be giving up front. I'm saying allowing you to, giving of themselves or giving of information up front, right? So the more you question, as you always said, just in terms of interviewing, the more you question, the more rich conversation, the more opportunities you might also see. Oh, okay. So I see that you have started like a social media or like a digital strategy within your obviously business. We can help with that. Or I've got a great opportunity here, or there's this great whatever it is feature that is running on our breakfast show, and it would fit perfectly with your, like I say, your current digital strategy. So we look for opportunities depending on what it is that the conversation might yield. Sell benefits, not features. Clients care only about what's in it for them. The next point: use the power of testimonials. Say, Well, I mean, if you would like to hear from, I don't know, Quick Tire or I think that's it. I think that's what they called. I think it's Auto Tire. That's definitely one of them. But if you're going to like Michelin and saying to them, well, look what we did for, Auto Tire or whatever it is, you can see, just you can hear the product, whatever it is, and maybe also even have some direct communication. Look at what they said, or look how happy they were, and so on and so forth. We use the power of, obviously truthful testimonials. Learn to recognize buying signals. So for example, when there's a trigger, when they're asking questions, pay attention, because it means that they are interested. Um, and I'm not going to go through all of them because there are so many over here. But I'll go through one more. Remember, the best buying signal is how much does it cost? Then you're like, no, okay, well, we can make a deal here, right? So this carries on over page 405. Just I'm going to pull like one or two from page 405. So if you don't make a sale, make a firm appointment to return. Make some form of sale each time you do actually call. It's a great point over there. I'm just going to follow just a little bit further down to the bottom of the page of 405, to the third last point. Use the power of persistence. Take no as a challenge and learn from children how profitable persistence is. Again, a certain type of person, man. Have a sales call scheduled immediately after your sales meeting. So try out what you have just learned, and do it over and over again, day after day, and get better at it. And just I'll just end off there from that reference in the textbook. Right, you can read through the rest. All right, so let's just follow back here on the slides here. So you've made the sale. Now, what are you going to do? What you do after that is start the process, right? So after the sale, Pat Bryson lives by these two maxims, right? Or maxims, however you would like to pronounce it, tomato, tomato, same thing. Right, so it is 5 times more expensive to generate new customers than to actually keep an existing one. So you want to be able to make sure that you are really delivering on customer service, right, and the quality of that, because they're just going to keep coming back, and so it's going to be a lot easier for you to just keep that customer retention, right? So number two, more sales are lost each year due to neglect than any other reason. You didn't follow up, you didn't do a great job, like you didn't do what they asked you. They asked you a question, you didn't answer them, whatever it may have been. Um, so just bad, bad of customer relations, right? The sale is not complete until the money is actually in the bank. And what we do is obviously when like they don't pay immediately, that makes no sense. They want to obviously hear the spots go out, the promotion run, the competition, whatever it is, and afterwards there's a post-mortem where you'll say, okay, well, that they will listen to it and they'll say, well, this advertisement didn't play out on time, or it wasn't played at all, or this library was incorrect, or whatever it may have been. You understand? And so we're going to not pay for that particular part of it, and so there'll be um, refined, a refined invoice for invoice process for that particular client. So if the client is slow to pay, rather make collection calls someone else's problem. You as a salesperson want to make sure that you stay within that relationship that you've built instead of being a different person. So you could get like an maybe like I say, more of the admin people, or more people on the people within the traffic department. Let's say the traffic obviously sales department, or an assistant to follow up on that type, so that the image of you, that particular role that they have got with you, that relationship from client to sales executive or salesperson, right, isn't tainted, quote unquote, right? Produced spots. So that's obviously when we put the, so in terms of production and stuff, right? When I put that spot together, make the commercials powerful radio as the following guidelines. So let's page 407. And again, just please note that this is coming from, and it's not that it's not relevant, but it's an international perspective, right? So there are 10 points there, and we can just follow along. The first one there says the most important rule in radio advertising is that you need to mention the client's name often for that subliminal messaging, right? So make sure that the listeners know where to find the client, what their number is, if it's an email, like I say, call to action, if it's a place, okay, they this shop number or whatever it is, in the shopping center, make it very clear, right? Play up the advantage to the listener. So what's the unique selling proposition of the product or service? Or what does it offer that is not available anywhere else, right? Grab their attention. So use noise, use music, unusual voices, whatever it is that is appropriate. And that's the key word there. Zero in, pitch directly to your target audience or your target listener. If you own an aging, overweight car, listen to this, very particular, very specific. Number 5 says be easily understood. Don't make copy complicated. Number 6 says get to the point. Don't delay the unique selling proposition. Tell them like right now how much it's going to cost or how much they're going to save or where they can get it, right? Use action words now and today when you're announcing a sale. Radios and interactive media's greatest strength is obviously the immediacy of it. So use it. Number 8 says make the listener part of the word picture. So don't just talk about the new car. Use sound effects to make them feel like they're in the car, they're driving the car. Um, and 9 says avoid cliches. Again, it's just a bit of a repetition of what we've seen also before. And then number 10 says be accurate. Make sure that the spot is checked by the client or other responsible parties before it actually goes to air. Otherwise, you're going to have a big problem, waste money, waste time, and waste work efforts and workforce, right? So turn it up. Audience research shows that when a spot is well produced and it fits the station's target audience, the listeners perceive that spot as a new or unusual information about a product or service, and they would like to maybe listen quite closely, right? So, okay, that's quite interesting. I didn't know about that. That's interesting to me, right? Have great and powerful copy once again that scripting that again that we come across a lot of advertisements that are really badly written nowadays, and that's I think just in terms of, and I think I know just all of us have become very lazy and lackadaisical with work efforts, and just in terms of also just great grammar and whatever it may be, right? Anyway, if you are the talent for the spot, read commercials with a new attitude, into the studio in a positive state of mind, prepare to focus and contribute in a creative and meaningful way. So preparation is obviously it's everything. So a well-organized session makes a finished commercial sound obviously much better. Have the voiceover artist know exactly, like provide them with a script, provide them with direction, provide them with more direction, right? And options, so allow them also a little bit of freedom in how they might interpret the delivery, etc. That's just as one part of the example of organization. If you oversee the studio where the commercials are produced, it's your job to make sure that everything is order, mics are working, the sound engineer is there, people on time, etc. Copywriters should provide a pronunciation guide for the words, for the talent, and how to say things and not how to say things. And scripts must be proofread. Okay, so on page 410, Jeffrey, Hedquist, right? Says 6 story starters. One, you can Google for insights on a particular product. You're not going to know anything more than what you know at the very beginning until you start and actually go and research some stuff. Do some field research of your own. Also ask the client about the product, about their business, about, again, everything around their business. Talk to their staff, right? So the people that obviously make up that culture. Talk to the customers of that particular client or that product, that client's product or service, and then talk to yourself. What do you think? Like, does this sound good? Does this make sense? What do I think? Because I am an expert professional operating in this particular moment, right? The copy navigator. So when writing scripts, using the copy navigator, brainstorm based on what you know about the product or service and the problem it will solve for the customer. So you have a copy department. The sales team is obviously heavily involved in them writing the copy because they have obviously the breakdown, they have all the notes. I mean, they have all this documentation, and what is wanted or needed from the customer or client. And so that's the two work obviously directly when developing this copy down the script, right, for this particular advert promotion, etc. Gather any data that the advertiser thinks might be useful, and if the station has access to research that may help position your client in a better way in the market, go ahead and put that in then as well. Broadcasters pay a lot of money for research about the listeners, and that's the truth, right? So make sure that when you do have that information, that you are using it to your advantage. If you just go back to your textbook at page 419, so I move just a little forward, you'll actually see. Let's go here. There's a sample of copy, all right, where it speaks. It says the date and the account. We put obviously the client's name there. It speaks of the marketing goal, the advertising goal, the best potential customer, obviously for this particular activation, right? And then obviously what's in it for me, what's the benefit of this particular product that we're trying to sell, advertise, and so on. So if you look just on the next page on 420, it continues. Why should I believe you? So why are we, like, when we are advertising this? Why would the customer believe anything that we are saying, right? Um, how should it sound? And then obviously things to include in each spot, like for example, slogans, taglines, and so on. So write good copy very fast. If you look at page 414, just to kind of move back there, there's the breakdown of all of this, but we're just going to look at just the outline. So writing narratives, again, this is a bit of a repetition of what we've said before. Narratives, that very personal, reflection or a description of what is happening with a particular product, and then obviously communicating that to a listener, right? Writing the dialogue that fits this correctly. Testimonials, the art of storytelling, and if there is a need for humor, then why not? If we know places like Nando's, very popular for that kind of tongue-in-cheek humor, very popular. So it works for them. It might not work for everyone else, right? Time and a place, right? So just again on page 420, the story spine method, the 6-step story spine method says, well, we can start at once upon a time. We could use every day, but on one day, because of that particular something. So you cannot, or you can have a couple more because of that something, until finally this happens. And ever since then, you were happier, or you had a more secure home, or a more like I say, a healthier life. So if we kind of break that down just in terms of that, just going on that on the thought pattern of health. Once upon a time, and you're not going to say this once upon a time, right? I struggled with getting up in the morning or going to sleep at night, or with my weight, whatever it is. Every day I would feel sluggish and this and that. But one day I came across this great deal from Fitness Pro, whatever it is, right? And because I made that decision to subscribe to their ready-made meals, I started waking up with a lot more energy, until finally I had lost 5 kilograms in 5 months. And ever since then, I've made sure that I commit or wake up to the one and only, or the best, I don't know, food preparation service, fitness coach, whatever. I don't know what I just said there, right? No, but I think you get the idea. The best salespeople never stop learning. Nearly done. So maintaining the balance, just to keep it in perspective. Remember, don't go too outlandish. Always make sure that at any one particular point you're servicing the customer and you're servicing the listener, and you're in within brand, okay, of your own station, right? So the own culture and own brand identity of your station. Yeah, you can't sell it all. Successful salespeople plan well, work hard, maintain a balanced life, and in addition to work, the most successful salespeople make time for family, healthy health, exercise, recreation, and spiritual pursuits. That I think goes without saying for everybody. You know, if you do have a balance in terms of that, you will lead a more a better life. You know, just as a just an outcome of that. So not just particular to salespeople, please. They have tremendous power of focus. All right. So that is the end of that lesson and the end of the lessons for the week. Uh, we'll see you for our contact class next week. Have a good one. Cheers.